What's up, everybody? My name is John. I lost 200 pounds and you can too. Today I want to talk specifically about how to lose fat consistently. I've done other videos on how to get the train on the tracks, and now we're going to talk about how to keep it rolling and hopefully keep it rolling somewhat downhill until you're where you need to be. On my big weight loss journey, I never plateaued. Once I got the train moving, I kept it moving. And I'm going to tell you today how I did that. And also how I advise my clients do this now, which is somewhat different because my thoughts have changed and evolved over time. First off, I'll tell you something I would tell a client is that a plateau isn't, I didn't lose weight for 4 days, right? A plateau really is 2 or 3 weeks of no movement on the scale. And if you've been working hard to lose weight, you'll need some ideas on how to prevent that or deal with it if it pops up. So let's start with the obvious: diet and exercise consistency. I had a program that was very dialed in. It was very the same every single day. I wouldn't do the same activity every day, but I had the same activity schedule every week. And I would do resistance training and then a hard cardio session the next day and bop. And then on the 7th day, I rested. And I would just repeat that. It worked for me. It was consistent. It takes the decision making out of it. And that's the real key with a consistent program. There's not a lot of decisions to be made. You're not going to be spending a lot of time in your head. Because I probably never would have lost the weight if I had to entertain the idea that maybe I shouldn't work out or maybe I should do something different. My brain would have exploded and I wouldn't have done stuff. I needed things to be simple. And that's why a very consistent, regimented workout plan worked for me. Same with my diet. I ate the same thing every day. I had a sort of cheat day. We'll talk about that in a minute. But everything I ate was regimented. Now, actually, for my clients, I encourage them to vary what they eat. I encourage them to not be as rigid as I was because I don't think it's always necessary to do that. It really depends on your personality, your strengths, weaknesses, all that. People who like to vary their meals from day to day usually have more success when they're keeping it in the same types of foods. So instead of 200 calories of rice, they're going to have 200 calories of sweet potato. And instead of an apple, they're going to have an orange, right? They find ways to add variability, but keeping things structurally more or less the same. But whichever path you take, whether it's super regimented or somewhat flexible, make it so that you're not spending a ton of time in your head trying to decide what to do in the moment, when you're hungry, when you're stressed, because that is how diets fail. Keep it simple, keep it easy. Now, inevitably, when you've been restricting calories and maybe upping your activity levels, the cravings kick in, right? The hunger levels go up to a point where it doesn't feel healthy to continue to deepen that caloric hole that you're in. I dealt with this with a cheat day. Once a week, I would eat whatever I wanted. Now, was I trying to eat as much as possible? No, I was just trying to satisfy whatever craving I was having that week. I'd usually be craving one thing and I try to focus on that. I wouldn't try to eat every single little thing I had craved all week. I would just sort of focus on like the one big thing. Like, I'm really craving pizza this week. So I'll make sure I have pizza for lunch on my cheat day. My cheat day breakfast was, sometimes it would change, but then it ended up being the same breakfast every time, because even on my cheat days, I craved the same cheat. If you're relating to your cheat day or your cheat meal the same way you relate to your meals the rest of the week, which is not to hurt yourself, but just to provide yourself what you need in that moment, you might find that your cheats become just as regimented as your quote-unquote diet meals. And this will help you figure out where your calories need to be at the rest of the week, or what foods you need to take out the rest of the week, so on and so forth. Now, the cheat meal or cheat day issue is highly individual. It totally depends on your personality, your temperament, strengths and weaknesses. For me, the cheat day worked. For other people, it's just going to be too much of an incitement to violence against the self via food. Other people, they can do a cheat meal. Like, there's a guy in the Facebook group right now, Christopher Lee. Shout out. Good job, Chris. You just posted some really cool updates in the Facebook group. You should go check it out. Lose Weight with John. He took cheat meals, but he worked it into his calories when he did. So he was able to have cheats anytime he really needed it, but then he would balance that with his eating the rest of the day. Other people, when they have a cheat meal, they let their calories go up for the day and they sort of account for that in the week, right? And I did a more extreme version of that, eating very low calories throughout the week with the psychological and restful release of just being able to kind of let my hair down for one day of the week. It worked for me. Other people, it's a disaster. So you just have to do whatever works for you. A lot of my clients now don't plan cheats, and we don't use the word cheat. You just eat what you eat, right? And I think this is super healthy. And this is actually what I prefer you to try doing, is not to think of food as bad or good or healthy or diet food and cheat food. It's all just food. It's all just calories, right? And we want to relate to it all the same. I'm eating this for me, not to hurt me, and not because I'm trying to fill some deep, dark cavern of stress, anxiety, a lack of self-love on the inside. And with this approach, a lot of people find that they don't need to plan their cheat days, because cheat days just tend to pop up, birthdays, holidays, a wedding. And it's much easier to enjoy these things kind of as they come if you're not taking a regimented cheat day. This was one thing that was hard for me, was what happens when there's an event I'm really excited about, but it doesn't fall on cheat day. So finding whichever method here works best for you is going to be key in keeping yourself happy and on the tracks for the long run. Now, inevitably, when you put your body into a caloric deficit, it adjusts. That's what weight loss is, right? We want that. As you take mass off your frame, your body doesn't need to burn as many calories in the day to keep it up. Now, hopefully you're burning mostly fat off your frame, but it's inevitable that some lean mass is going to be lost. We just want to keep that in the minority. However, when your body loses 40 pounds, your body's going to say, well, I don't need as much muscle in my legs to support this, right? In my structural elements. So it's somewhat inevitable. And I remember having a big argument with a graduate student when I was in graduate school for totally separate things. I would go and hang out with the nutrition and physiology nerds and try to use their equipment. And I remember telling this guy, I'm not going to lose any lean mass, and I'm taking care of it this way. And he's like, no, you're going to lose lean mass. It's going to happen, because even if you just lose completely fat, your body's still not going to need to support that fat. And it doesn't make sense to keep her on all those structural elements of lean mass. So he finally got it through my thick skull that no matter how great of a job you do at focusing on fat loss rather than losing lean mass, some of it's inevitable. And this will in turn reduce your daily caloric expenditure through your basal metabolic rate. And this is one of the most common reasons for a plateau. People find a calorie level that suits them, an activity level that suits them, and eventually the effect just kind of wears off. And one of the biggest reasons diets fail is what people do in response to this. So I'm here to tell you, take small adjustments, make small adjustments. If you're going to lower your calories, lower them just a little bit. I mean, I would take the peanuts off of my salad, right? I didn't count calories really when I was losing my 200 pounds. I just, like I said, I was eating the same things every day. So when it came time to delete calories, I would really just think of it in terms of what's the most calorically dense thing I'm eating and how can I eat less of that? So I would have these salads for both of my lunches. Yes, 2 lunches. And if I noticed that my weight loss was slowing down, I could just delete the peanuts, or I put a little feta on there. You could delete that. Or you could be a little more careful with how you're putting olive oil on your salad. For you, if you're a calorie counter, it means deleting 50 calories, 100 calories, maybe 150 rather than another 500, right? This is what tends to take the train off the tracks. You ever see a train try to make a left turn at a 90-degree angle? No, that train will end up at the bottom of a ravine. And you'll see the news with the helicopter flying over and the train smoking. That's you when you try to make a big adjustment on a diet. We want to keep this careful balance where we're keeping things easy, keeping things low stress on our body, because dieting is already stressful enough. And I want you to remember that there's more types of adjustments you can make other than just reducing your calories. That's the sort of the last recourse. But you can change the types of foods you're eating. Maybe go for a lower GI carbohydrate source, glycemic index. Right? So an apple might be a smarter use of your calories than a Twinkie. You could tighten up your eating window, maybe spend a little bit more time intermittent fasting. Maybe not do it every single day, but most days of the week, tighten that up. And there's more ways than that. Then you have activity. You can always increase the number of minutes you're doing your activity, the number of steps you're taking every day. If you ride the bike 25 minutes a day, you can move that up to 30. You can increase the intensity of your workouts. You can push harder in your weight training. You could train longer. You get the idea, right? You can go quantity, intensity, one or the other. And I would like you to think about those as two different things. Don't up the intensity and the quantity of work you're doing at the same time. These are two different cards you have to play. Don't throw two trump cards down on the table at the same time. You're just wasting a card. You want to keep those cards in your hand. So only make one small adjustment at a time and try to adjust everything but calories, right? Calories is the last thing you adjust. If nothing else is working, go ahead and drop the calories, but don't drop them catastrophically. Other than that, when it comes to deciding, well, which thing do I adjust? Should I go for a food adjustment or activity adjustment? Here's where we let easy things be easy. One of the most remarkable things that happens with almost all my clients is that when I encourage them to look for the easy wins, to look for the downhill solution, the solution of flow, the solution that's already trying to happen, they often have more ideas, good ideas, than they realize. It's just a sense of permission or getting their head around it. Things they can do to keep progress moving. Look for the things that are opening up to you right now, right? It's like a boxer in the ring, right? When his opponent steps back, he steps in. When your enemy gives you ground, take it. You don't have to fight tooth and nail for these changes. Something will be there. For instance, I would try to up my quantity of work on the bike and then up my intensity of work on the bike, and then keep in my back pocket that I can go running if biking ever totally peters out for me, or if I want to up the intensity from there, because I know that when I run, I tend to burn more calories, I tend to shed more fat than with biking. However, there's a higher stress cost, right? More intensity, more stress to your body. But what happens when you take the baby steps, when you take the easy steps, you get fitter. So when you do start running, it's less stress than it would be if you started now. Make sense? So you don't want to make leaps, you want to take steps, right? Just a step, one step, one step. And when you take a step, give it some time to play out, right? If it doesn't work the next day, don't freak out. Give it a week or two and keep those cards in your hand for you to play later. I would usually have 8 or 9 things in the pocket ready to go should anything slow down. And sometimes there's a psychological benefit to that. I didn't have to play those cards very often because I was able to convince myself, listen, let's chill out. We got this, right? Look at all these things we can do to goose progress if we need to. So it allowed me to relax. And guess what? A lot of plateaus are just because you're stressed out, you're wound up. Your stress responses are helping to inflame your body and your body systems, your hormonal systems. It's not good, and it's very easy to hold on to pounds of weight, often in the form of water, right? And this gets us into the mental side of losing fat consistently. And that's a whole other can of worms, a huge topic. It's my favorite topic, actually. We'll do a whole separate video on it. In the meantime, if you have questions about how to keep your fat loss progress going, you can ask him in the comments below. You can head over to the Facebook group, Lose Weight with John. We're over there providing additional support free of charge. And if you're looking for one-on-one coaching, I do provide that. My clients are killing it right now. It's an exciting time. People are looking to make big changes, and I welcome that. I like New Year's resolutions. I know that sometimes those have a bad connotation because people associate them with failure. But you can take the impetus of the new year and then not fail. You can do things the easy way, do things the right way, a way that's for you rather than just taking a different approach to self-harm and calling it health. I'd be happy to talk to you free of charge. We can set up a consultation. You can email me at johnoakescoaching@gmail.com. That's Oakes with an E, O-A-K-E-S. All right, folks, that's all I have for you today. I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time.